Hi everyone, welcome back to another episode of KYC, Know Your Crypto. And on today's episode, I want to talk about Chainlink and why I'm very bullish on it. I'm calling it a moonshot. And in order to discuss Chainlink, we first have to talk about what oracles are, what smart contracts are as well. And also in this episode, we're going to look at the Grayscale Trust, and we're going to do a little bit of technical analysis along with some Chainlink fundamentals. So what is an oracle? Well, admittedly, whenever I hear this word, I still think of the famous character from the Matrix trilogy and franchise called the Oracle. And although the Oracle in the Matrix films is ultimately a prophet and someone or something that has some insight into human psychology, I do find some similarities between the Oracle in the films and the oracles that we know of in the crypto. And where I see these similarities is, in this article here from the Matrix fandom, we see that in a later meeting, I think it's referencing the meeting that Neo, that's Keanu Reeves's character, has with the Oracle in the second film. In a later meeting, Neo can now see that the Oracle is not a human at all, but yet another program within the Matrix, perhaps yet another form of control over humanity. And while Chainlink and other oracles, they're not controlling humanity, of course, but they are communicating between different programs and different entities in the real world. So let's talk about what exactly that means. This is an article from CoinDesk, and it defines an oracle as something that sends data from the outside world, such as the daily temperature or the number of votes a political candidate received, to a blockchain such as Ethereum. A smart contract on the blockchain can then use the data, typically to make a decision about whether to dispense money and to whom. So in other words, oracles take off-chain data and they bring it on-chain. So in order for us to properly understand oracles, we need to look at smart contracts and understand what they are. So this is an article from coincentral.com. So how do smart contracts work? A smart contract isn't unlike its paper predecessor. It helps you exchange property, services, and currency. But unlike that hardly enforceable paper stack just barely stapled together, this contract is a self-executing document. And the key term here is self-executing. And what a smart contract is in a nutshell is something that can happen automatically, and it does not require an individual or any sort of manual process to occur. Now, the reason why I wanted to draw upon this article in particular is because it uses a very good real-world example of how a smart contract works via a vending machine. So think about the procedure of a vending machine. It's the simplest transaction you can make. You decide what you want and insert money into the machine. Once you click on the button or insert the code for the item of the same value, the machine automatically releases it. And key terms there again, automatically, self-serving, self-executing. So once the machine receives the amount that, say, if you're looking for a chocolate bar, once the machine receives the amount that that chocolate bar is worth, the chocolate bar is released to you and it's yours. In this example here, the smart contract is essentially the data sets that is the prices of the chocolate bars. And the oracle's job is to essentially verify that the money that was put in is in fact correct, which can allow the smart contract to release. Now, it's probably fair to infer that anyone who has not heard of Grayscale is not actively in the crypto space. Grayscale Investments is a company that manages cryptocurrency investment funds. In March of 2017, Grayscale managed $208 million worth of investments in the Grayscale Bitcoin Investment Trust. And approximately a year later, the company had created investment trusts for Ethereum, Litecoin, XRP, Bitcoin Cash, and Zcash. Now, recently, Grayscale dropped XRP because of the SEC lawsuit that is currently ongoing. And according to Grayscale, their investors are fairly spread out. 56% of the money it raised in the first half of 2018 came from institutions. 20% from accredited individual investors, 16% from retirement investors, and 8% from family investments. Now, in addition to Chainlink potentially being added to the trust, the article also references 4 other coins that could be added: Tezos, LivePeer, Decentraland, and Basic Attention Token. And for those of you who are newer to the space, you may or may not be aware that you can actually earn Basic Attention Token, or the BAT token, completely for free by watching ads or viewing ads on the Brave browser. Now, this article over here from cryptoslate.com really kind of puts into context the importance of Chainlink being added to the Grayscale Trust. So Chainlink is the world's largest Oracle service. Oracles are third-party tools that fetch data from outside a blockchain to within it, as blockchains are a means of ironclad storage and immutability, but cannot verify the quality of data going inside them. This means that bad data can register itself on the blockchain, causing a host of problems and millions of dollars in losses. Chainlink helps avoid this, while additionally also being capable of being an efficient payment system itself. As per CryptoSlate's DeFi page, Chainlink has a current market cap of over 8.4 billion and currently trades at $20.60. Actually, as of today, January 24th, Chainlink is trading at $24. How would Chainlink feature in Grayscale? Grayscale, as I've mentioned before, is the world's largest crypto asset manager and investment platform. It holds over $25.5 billion worth of various cryptocurrencies, mainly Bitcoin, over 9 trusts. Its products are some of the only regulated crypto offerings to trade on the public markets. So in other words, if your cryptocurrency is added to a Grayscale trust, that is really, really good news. So the last example I want to give before moving on to technical analysis on how smart contracts and oracles work together is, let's pretend you've made a bet on a sporting event. No, I do not condone betting by any means, by the way. In this example, the bookie is the smart contract. And if Team A, in fact, defeats Team Z and you've won, the smart contract, your bookie, would automatically give you the money. But how does the smart contract or bookie know that you've won the bet? How does the smart contract or bookie know that Team A has defeated Team Z? That is where Chainlink comes in. Chainlink verifies that data, makes sure that it is in fact correct, and it brings it back to the smart contract. All right, so let's look at some technical analysis, specifically how Chainlink is performing again. As we can see, in the summer, Chainlink was performing incredibly well, but we actually can see here that we have a head and shoulders pattern. Left shoulder right over here. Around the highs, we have the head, and then we also have the right shoulder either here, here, or here, however you're looking at it. And that essentially sparked a downward trend. We know that head and shoulders spark a downward trend. And so Chainlink performing against Bitcoin started obviously a downward trend after this head and shoulders pattern. And I've drawn this trend line of daily closes. Now, what's interesting about this trend line specifically is that Chainlink has, from this breakout, reached the point at which it started roughly from the downward trend versus Bitcoin. And so if you take the length of the downward trend line here, and now that we're in the upward trend here and we've reached the point at which the downward trend began, we can infer that this trend will continue. And with that, I've got 3 possible. The first scenario is that Chainlink continues to go quite parabolically, roughly in the exact same angle as the downward trend. The second scenario is that it sort of continues on an upward trend, but a bit more steady. And the third scenario is that Chainlink does continue to go on the rise, or it goes up and corrects, but ultimately along the course of a few months leading us into April, we still have Chainlink worth much more than what it was worth once the trend broke. Chainlink, as of this recording, is worth $24, which again, Bitcoin is essentially worth 0.00076 Bitcoin. And in my most bullish example, By March 2nd, I had Chainlink worth 0.0012 Bitcoin. So that would bring one Chainlink to $38.25. My second most bullish scenario was by March 20th, one Chainlink being worth $34.42. And in my most conservative estimate, by April the 4th, I had one Chainlink worth $29.32. Tell me in the comments below where you think Chainlink is headed over the next few months. Again, this is not financial advice, but I do believe that Chainlink has a lot of ground to cover on Bitcoin, especially if we have an Oracle season on the way. If you're on crypto Twitter, by the way, follow me, shoot me a message. Last thing I want to talk about are oracles in general. Right now, the entire oracle space, the market cap for it is $11 billion. A 10x from that would make it a $100 billion market. And 100x from here would make it a $1 trillion market cap. And I do believe in the future, we will certainly see oracles as a whole. Chainlink, again, is the big dog in the category right now with a market cap of $2 billion. I do think that oracles will be a $1 trillion market cap combined. And if that is the case, that would put Link at a price of $2,400 per coin. Where do you think Chainlink is headed? Tell me. Thanks, guys, and I'll see you in the next video.